Vinegar is becoming a more and more popular treatment for yeast infections just because it's very simple. It's something you can do in your own home and it doesn't cost very much. So I'm just going to go over some different ways that it's used in a yeast infection. The type of vinegar that you want to use first is white vinegar. You don't want to use any other type of vinegar. The antibacterial properties in white vinegar are great with getting rid of all of the symptoms associated with yeast infections as well as the actual cause of the infection. So it's great because it can be used for any type of infection, a skin yeast infection, an oral yeast infection, or vaginal yeast infection. Whatever type you have, you can use vinegar to help treat it. So for a skin yeast infection, all you need to do is mix 2 teaspoons of the vinegar with a fourth a cup of water. Just mix that up and then just apply it 2 to 3 times a day. And you should definitely feel a difference pretty soon. Some people experience a little bit of discomfort and burning at first when you do that, but that's definitely a good sign because it's definitely killing the bacteria and getting rid of the symptoms that you know you have. If you have an oral yeast infection, you can just gargle some white vinegar before and after each meal, and that should help with that. So I would definitely make sure that you get white vinegar again and make sure that you're doing it constantly. You can't just do it once a day and expect the results. You have to do it at least twice a day, probably more. As soon as you feel the symptoms coming on again, I would go ahead and repeat the steps so that it can do what it needs to do to get rid of your infection.